So
Yep.
here are the unintended consequences. Number one, church as a product. So church became a product. And whenever you have a product, what's the goal of any product? Make it as good as you can possibly make it. And so free coffee, better technology, less talk about sin, me-focused sermons, comfortable buildings, cool pastors, celebrity pastor model, all of that kind of stuff. That's working under the radar. And that's what made, I think, the church ripe to fall to kind of theological liberalism and humanistic thinking in 2020. Because we had built this idea that church is a product, and so therefore church is it's for you, right? And yeah, and okay, the second unintended consequence we already hit, doctrine is secondary. And so instead of informing people and building strong doctrine, we inherit people that already have doctrine, or we're going to reach the unchurched and they don't need doctrine. They just need salvation. And then once we give them salvation, let's just teach them how Christian faith can be applied in their everyday life with no doctrinal underpinning. This works if you're preloaded doctrinally. And that's why many mature Christians flock to the megachurch. They flock because they're like, oh, this is nice. I've already been taught all the doctrine. Now in 40 minutes, you're giving me 3 tips for a better life. And as a mature Christian, for a while, I can lace that over my preloaded doctrine. But after 20 years of that, what happens? Well, you forget the doctrine underneath and you become emaciated. That's what happened in 2020. Okay. Unintended consequence number 3 is this: social club instead of family. The entire church then was set up as a social club. And in any social club, there are rules. And here are the rules of the megachurch social club. Rule number 1, you must pledge full allegiance to the brand, right? So rule number 2, you never get to ask if the methods are biblical. And so early on, when you ask if the methods are biblical, that was like, should we be singing secular songs before the sermon? Okay. Should we really be spending this much money on technology? Post-COVID, what did that turn into? Should we really just stop, right? Because the government said so. Is wearing a mask really loving my neighbor? But you don't get to ask those questions because you never question the brand. That was the rule of the social club, right? Unintended consequence number 4 was this: that Christians became cogs in the wheel instead of partners in the gospel. And so you came into the megachurch, and what was your job? Find your spot. And so we no longer discipled people to be fully followers of Christ. We discipled people to just play their part in the machinery. And this is, by the way, this is what the entire church was running towards in 2017, 18, 19, and 20. And so we wonder why we fell in 2020. This is why, right? You had an emaciated church that pledged full allegiance to the brand and knew that their part was just to be a cog in the machine, not somebody who really had a heart and was discipled toward Christ. And they hadn't been doctrinally trained in 20 years, by and large, in the American church.
Talk about idolatry. Your idolatry becomes the church.
It was.